So I've been coaching many musicians and producers just like you for the last 6 years. And I've been thinking about what is it that allows some producers to move forward in this business to get full-time income, and what doesn't allow some producers to do that. And there are so many technical details and aspects to sync licensing, and I know many of you guys are aware of a lot of them. If you're not, definitely go through a lot of my other YouTube videos. You'll find a lot of them. But I kind of came across this one topic, or this one thing that I think actually could explain everything. It could actually explain why I was able to turn this into full-time income and why a few of my students are able to as well. And it has nothing to do with our talent, nothing to do with our equipment or our home studios or our plugins or our DAW or our speakers, nothing like that. And it also has nothing to do with our relationships or how well connected we are in this business. I think the real variable that is separating people that turn this into significant income and those that don't is desperation. I really do think that actually can explain pretty much everything. For those of you that are not aware of my backstory, about 14 years ago, I stumbled into sync licensing when I had a really stressful day job. I would get stomach aches, in fact. Going into work, I would just get sick to my stomach. I'd get just knots. I'd have anxiety. I'd feel like crap. I was not feeling appreciated. I was feeling overworked. And I also felt like the management at this startup company didn't have a clue as to what they were doing. And I felt like I think everybody feels like their manager has no idea what they're doing. But I really felt like I had some ideas that I presented that could have steered the company in a better direction. And they were constantly ignored. Even though on the other side of their mouth, they were saying, we want to hear your ideas and we want you to, this is your company and you put your input. But really when it came down to it, they weren't interested in our ideas, the employees. So it was a really unhealthy situation. And in the background, I was thinking, well, maybe sync licensing will be kind of a cool thing I can get into. But I actually ended up losing that job. Okay, that job was something that I was super stressed about, didn't like it. But when I lost it, I really got scared because it was like, I have no income now, right? I had some unemployment that I could apply for, had a little bit of savings, but I was really just sort of on a razor's edge in terms of paying my bills, barely getting by essentially. And it scared me. But one thing that experience gave me was this gift, and I'm going to call it a gift of desperation, that I knew from that experience with that horrible day job that I just made a vow to myself never to have to get another job that I didn't want again. Okay? Never having to go into a business meeting that I knew was just BS and could have been done over an email. Never having to say good morning and be happy and pleasant with bosses and managers that I really had no respect for and didn't feel like they valued me. Basically feeling like a fraud, kind of having to pretend to go along with this dance at the workplace because I needed the money and I needed a check, but I really didn't believe in it. I really didn't want to do it. I didn't feel like this was really my best use of my time and my energy and my creative effort, right? So I just made a vow to myself. I don't care what I do in life. I'll just never do that again because that was so stressful and such a bummer. So that desperation is what I got from that experience. Now, going back to my sort of unemployment world for the first time, I had never been really unemployed ever. It was a really rough transition because I had to learn that you can't just stay up till 4 a.m. and wake up at noon every day. You got to create some sort of a daily schedule that keeps you, motivated and making music. But just like all of you guys, I had the days where I was like not excited about making music, wasn't feeling it, didn't feel hopeful, didn't feel optimistic, wasn't motivated, feeling a little depressed, anxious, having tech issues, you name it. Anything you guys have gone through, I've had those issues as well. But that gift, that desperation that I had to just get away from that work world was always the little extra bit of juice, that energy that I could turn on when I needed it. Okay, so for those mornings where I was sleeping until noon and not feeling like getting out and making music or doing anything productive, a little tap on the shoulder said, hey, well, you know what? There's plenty of day jobs waiting for you if you want to just go back to that world. And nothing gets you out of bed faster than that, right? You're like, okay, I'll get in the mood. I'll figure out how to get in the mood because I'm staying away from that thing. It's fear. It's definitely a fear motivator, right? Definitely some anger and some resentment that I had from that whole situation. But all of those emotions were not negative. They were all helpful for me because that was the little fire that helped me to push forward. So how this relates to you guys, I know some of my students are in a desperate mode. where they have no job, they don't have an income, and sync licensing or making full-time income with their music is their only shot. And they're literally just, I don't care what it takes, I'm going to succeed. When I see that, and you're able to afford that, by the way, right? So these are students that don't have families, probably don't have a wife and kids, don't have mouths that require them to earn consistent money right now to feed them. If they're in that situation and they're that desperate for it, I actually feel a lot of hope for them, because I know that desperation and that dedication, and also basically kind of pulling away a plan B, basically saying, I don't have a plan B, it's sync licensing or bust. That is pretty much what it takes to get to full-time income and sync licensing. Now, this is going to be maybe a little bit disheartening for some of you guys that have a full-time job, right? And you need to keep that full-time job because you do have a family, you've got a mortgage, you've got bills, right? And I'm not telling anybody, please understand, I am not encouraging anybody to create desperation for yourself by quitting your job in some mad dash and just going all in on sync licensing, because you know you need desperation to succeed, and therefore you're going to make a really big risky move like that. Please, that is not what I'm encouraging. I don't endorse that. It's not what I think anybody should be doing. But I do think in your mindset, you have to create something like desperation to succeed, okay? If this is going to be your full-time focus. If it's just a hobby, part-time stuff, don't worry about this. But if it's really where you want this to be, creating all the income for your life, you kind of have to take away all your plan Bs, okay? So you're going to keep your day job, of course, because you got to pay your bills. You're going to keep showing up and that kind of thing. But everything else in your life has to essentially take a back seat, because this has got to be success or bust, right? And essentially what you're doing mentally is you're saying, failing is no longer an option, right? Not doing this full time is not something that I'm going to accept. Now that's risky. Even just making that choice mentally, just making that shift of your focus of your future, of saying, okay, this chance of me not having this work out, I'm going to take that out of my possibilities of the future. That's really scary, right? Because it's like, but what if I do? What if I do fail? What if I don't make it to full time? What if all these what ifs start popping up in your head, right? I can just feel it already. And that's the risk that you have to take, is going like, doesn't matter. It feels scary. It feels risky. It feels like that's something I should maybe hold on to as a just in case. But I'm telling you, it's that hard in this business. You have to take that away and only focus on, this is going to work out for me. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how many rejections I get. I don't care how many disappointing royalties I get. I don't care how long it takes for me to get my tracks up to even start getting accepted by libraries. It's success or bust. It's desperation, guys. It's a desperation mode that you have to literally get into, I believe, for this to work out. And it's the only thing that I can really put my finger on in terms of what is the difference, because I have some producers that are amazingly talented and they burn out quickly. I have some producers that are average talent and they make it for the long haul, and they're actually pulling in some decent, amazing work. And the only thing is that like desperate determination of like, it doesn't matter what happens. Getting rejected by a library doesn't mean anything to me. Getting a disappointing royalty statement doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just going to keep going. I don't know if I had the desperation to succeed in sync licensing. I just had a desperation to get out of my day job. So maybe that can also be some desperation that you can inject into your life, of you really not digging what you're doing with your day job. It's totally normal. A lot of people feel that way. You can take that energy, that either fear, frustration, pain, whatever, and go, I got to get out of this. And I'm desperate to get and change my life and go into a completely new world here and to get into this business and actually succeed. So however you can create that desperation for yourself, try to focus and think about that. That'll be something for you to deal with maybe this week. And hopefully that can give you that extra little juice and energy that you can turn on when you have those days and you have that rejection and you have that feeling of demotivation, because it will hit you. It hits me, it hits everybody, okay? So how you can get through that, that's really up to you. But I think, and again, do not do something brash after watching this video, like calling your boss and telling him to kick rocks. Quitting your job when you're not ready for something else is usually a very, very unwise thing to do. It's a lot better to basically start building up a side hustle while you have your day job, so that you can see that side hustle eventually replace the income that you currently have. So do it responsibly. Of course, you guys are all adults. You can make those choices for yourself, but I just want to make sure that I'm very responsible about this message, okay? But let me know what you guys think. Does this make sense to you? Does that feel like I put my finger kind of right on the pulse of what's really separating people who are doing well and not? Because again, it's not the talent that I've seen. It's not the equipment, and it's even not about like, well, certain people get locked in with the right companies early on in their career, and that's why they take off. It can definitely get you started earlier if you're with the right company with the right music, but you can get dropped by that company, right? And then what's going to pick you off the floor and have you move to the next one? Because if you don't have that desperation and that determination of like, it doesn't matter what happens to me, I'm moving forward with this. I will succeed. Success is my future. There's nothing that's going to get you through those moments because they're going to really, really punch you right in the gut. So I'm curious though, what do you guys think about this? Does this help you? Does this help you feel a little bit more clear about what it's really going to take to succeed? Or does this make you feel like, damn, this is really way more over my head than I thought? I don't think this is really going to be something for me. I'd really like to know what you guys think. So go ahead and post your comments below, please. Thank you.